Thank you once again for joining us on this beautiful online rally from the Singapore Democratic Alliance. Today I have very important points to raise, especially the very important point that says we are looking to win and not just be NCMPs, because NCMPs do not represent the residents fully. So we are here to win, and that is the important point I want to share with you. Now, my party leader also, Desmond Lim, mentioned this very clearly, that we shouldn't be steered away. I quote the words, we shouldn't be steered away from the party's campaign and all the manifestos and all the points, policy matters that we are raising for this general election, to talk about the non-constituency member of parliament, the NCMP scheme, because this talk has been going on very heavily today. A lot of different party leaders were asked about, are you going to be happy getting an NCMP? And we repeat again, we are here for the win. We need your support to win, and we cannot represent you fully as an NCMP. We have to win this election, and that's where we need all your support. Because like Desmond said, we are not going to fall into the trap, and this is important. Desmond Lim made it very clear to the media, does not matter what other party leaders are saying, but the SDA says very clearly, we are not going to fall into the trap of the PAP telling people that there is already sufficient NCMP seats, so we don't need the opposition. My dear fellow Singaporeans, especially residents of Pasir Ris Punggol, we really need the opposition to have that ability to have a check and balance. And Mr. Lim made this very clear to the media earlier. We come here, and I repeat his words because this is the same words of everyone in the party. We come here not just to contest to become a NCMP. We are here to contest to be the full member of parliament for you and be your voice in parliament. So I look forward to your support. For some of us who are not very familiar, let me just take 1 second or just a few minutes to explain. The NCMP scheme, which was introduced in, I think back in 1984, it allows the best performing losers from the opposition to enter parliament after a general election. Now, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, the outgoing Prime Minister, had earlier said that there is no possibility of the opposition being excluded from parliament because there is a NCMP scheme. Now, if I want to make this very clear, this was because I think my friend Pritam Singh from the Workers' Party had warned of a possibility of a total opposition wipeout in this election. And I don't think it's only my friend Pritam who is concerned about this. Every one of us Singaporeans I meet on the door-to-door, in the shopping alleys, in the marketplaces, they are all worried that because of the pandemic, this election may go all the way towards the PAP, and there will be no opposition, there will be no alternative people like us to raise the questions and hold them accountable. And I'll tell you something, SDA do not or does not ever want to just support this NCMP scheme, because we feel we are coming in to be the full MPs, the full members of parliament, to be your voice in parliament. And I want to say something. After the last general election, they raised the NCMPs in parliament from 9 to 12. And now the NCMPs do have full voting rights. But no, we are still not the voice of the real residents in Pasir Ris Punggol. No, we will still not be able to speak up with that kind of confidence, knowing that we have the mandate of the people behind us, who gave us the vote, who told us that yes, go into parliament, be the full member of parliament and speak up for us. But I'll tell you, this is not enough to just be an NCMP, because our 5-member team that is representing Pasir Ris Punggol, we believe that there's a big difference between being an NCMP and being a real member of parliament. Because I'll tell you something, the residents need to write to the ministries. The residents need us to write to certain authorities or to certain agencies to appeal on their behalf. And as an NCMP, we really cannot do that. So it's not only about going into parliament to be your voice, but also having the power to represent you when it comes to writing letters on your behalf to the ministries, when it comes to writing letters on your behalf to the authorities, when it comes to making appeals for you. So for that, we need your full mandate this time. Support the SDA and bring us into power as a full MP, not just a NCMP. And in fact, this afternoon, I remember while we were on the walkabouts the media was asking Mr. Lim, Desmond Lim himself, if this position was offered to him, would he like to take up? And he said instead something very strong. And I want you to share this video with everyone, forward it to all your friends so they understand how serious we are. Because I liked what Mr. Desmond Lim replied to the media. He said, I would offer the PAP to take the NCMP seats in this constituency because we the SDA, are here to win, and I believe the residents of Pasir Ris Punggol will give us, the SDA, the mandate to represent you. Thank you in advance for your support. And I'll tell you something, this is beautiful because this is very important. Every time we go on walkabouts, every time we do these online rallies, every time we meet the citizens everywhere, people are crying out for this representation of an alternative voice. And we are proud to say that we have contested in Pasir Ris Punggol in the last 3 general elections against the incumbent PAP. This time I know there is a 3-corner fight which will be seen in this year, but we are confident because for the last 13 years we have walked the grounds. Every time we go there, even wearing the mask, people recognize us just by the eyes, or maybe in my case because of the turban too. But even for Mr. Abu, even for Mr. Desmond Lim, wearing the mask, they recognize us because we have been here for the last 13 years, and we hope you will give us your support in this general election to be your voice in Parliament and represent you. And this is so very important because in this tight competition of a 3-way, by the way, Pasir Ris Punggol is the only GRC having a 3-way competition, and I'm not going to deny it is a tight competition because when you have 3 sides all coming for the same place, but we still, why are we still so confident is because for the last 5 years especially, everyday lunch boxes have been going out to residents there. There are 7 stations all over Pasir Ris Punggol that many of you not only know about, but you volunteer, and I thank you from my heart for that. But more importantly, hospital visits or bringing residents out for outings, giving them medical assistance, legal aid, even simple things like haircuts and many other things. The SDA has always been there with the people of Pasir Ris Punggol. And that's why I'll tell you something, even though we had many opportunities to go to different SMCs and GRCs, we decided to focus our resources on Pasir Ris Punggol because this is the bond, the rapport we have with the residents there. And I hope if you are listening to this and you are not from Pasir Ris Punggol, share this video with the residents of Pasir Ris Punggol. Wherever you are from, help us to be the voice in Parliament, to represent you and get elected as full members of Parliament. Because on the tight competition, I know it is a 3-way battle this time, and it's the only GRC. So I don't know whether we should be really proud of the fact that everyone wants to contest here, or we should be worried about it. And we are not worried. We are very confident because we have put in the time. We have put in the effort. We have walked the ground. We have met the residents, and not just once, but some of the blocks we are going on the 2nd round. And by the end of this campaigning period, we expect even 3 rounds of our flyers and us going around, and our party members and our supporters meeting you and being with you. And in case you don't get a chance to speak to us, give us a WhatsApp message. Our contact numbers are all in the description. Send us a message on Facebook, YouTube channels, or however else. We will still represent you. We will speak up for you like all the messages that are coming in. And I'll end off today on this section with the words of Mr. Lim Desmond again, who said in the interview with the reporters earlier that we are confident. Why? Because as an alliance, and by the way, for those of you who do not know this, the Singapore Democratic Alliance is the only alliance in Singapore. We believe in opposition unity. We believe in every party, including the incumbent, working together as a team to make Singapore much better for all of us. And our legacy goes back to the times of Mr. Chiam Si Tong, who you will remember from the Potong Pasir SMC. He is the one who founded, with many other capable people, the Singapore Democratic Alliance, and we have been carrying on that legacy. We will not destroy that legacy. In fact, from today onwards and forever, for the years to come, build upon it. And that's why Mr. Desmond Lim replied to the reporters, as an alliance, we accept any political party but we can't join another political party. We tried our best. We talked to the other alternative party, but they still insisted to come. Now, please remember, we can't stop anyone from coming. Everyone has the rights and freedoms to contest anywhere in Singapore. It just so happened Pasir Ris Punggol has been the only GRC with a three-corner fight. We hope you remember the contributions and the services we have been providing for the last many years. And we hope you will be the support for us. Because I'll tell you something very sweet. It is not just about the three parties that are contesting. This division that's happening, I know some people are afraid of the fact that it's going to dilute the votes of the opposition, which I also agree. But just remember this one thing, that we are there all the time to speak for you. In the 2011 general election, Pasir Ris Punggol voters gave us I think it was about 37.6% of the votes. And even if we get that same number of people helping and supporting us this time, we will succeed in being in parliament with you, for you. And in the last general election in GE15, I remember very clearly that after the People's Action Party and the Workers' Party, the SDA had the third highest percentage vote count in the entire Singapore. And this was even after the Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's demise effect that swayed the voters towards the PAP. So I have got good confidence that you would love our service. You would want us to be the voice in parliament for you. You would want us to represent you when we write to the ministries. We write appeals on your behalf. We fight for your needs. So SDA is always here, will always be here for you. We need your support. And I just want to say this much. Everyone will be blaming each other and saying the two parties they shouldn't have come up here and all that. And I'll tell you something very specifically. There was so much informal contact going on, and formally, even until the night before the nomination day, I was there when I heard Mr. Desmond Lim himself making a call to the leader of the other third alternative party. And I was there into the wee hours after we finished our walkabouts at the HDB blocks. We were tired. After that, we went around to the shopping malls, and we were even more tired. But yet, Mr. Desmond Lim even tried the last minute effort to try, after all other means had failed, to personally call. And I was there sitting right in front of him, plus my other candidates who are running this time, and many other volunteers were there. We tried to logic with them and say, please give us an opportunity, because we have been here for 13 over years and intensified our efforts for the last 5 years. Give us an opportunity to go one-on-one with the PAP. But I guess they have their own reasons, and we cannot stop them. We will still continue to focus on what we have done, what we are doing, and what we will continue to do all the time for you. And this is so true. Because I want to just say something. It is the lives of the people that we are fighting for. And I think you remember I've shared this with you many a time. Why are we here? What are we fighting for? And we, the SDA, promise you that we promise to challenge the PAP-led government, or whichever government comes into power next. And I'll let you know this much. They have got all seats being contested by them, the PAP. So it is for sure they will be the next government. Singaporeans don't have to be afraid of that. But if you do not give us an opportunity, there will be no one to challenge whatever decisions that they make. And if you heard my last video, you know some of the pain points that I covered. And I will go in maybe a quick detail once again for those of you who missed it. But check our page, look at the previous videos. And I'll remind the voters again, in the GE 2015, also I said it, there is always the government, there is always the alternative or opposition parties, but the third group of people, that is you, the voters, are the most important. Because if you do not want a change, if you do not think that we should be there in parliament, and if you do not use the power of the vote in your hand to help us get into parliament, then there will never be any option to ask those hard questions. And ask yourself, have you ever seen any of the PAP MPs asking the real hard questions on your behalf in parliament? And you will say, no, I haven't. Because many people say, I touch my heart, and I know they don't actually do that. So you need us in parliament, because we promise to challenge the PAP-led government and press it to implement policies that benefit all Singaporeans, not just a small group of elites. Yes, all policies must be designed in such a way, and that's why you need new people with new ideas, not just the groupthink of the traditional. Those ideas and policy matters that the outgoing government put together in the pre-COVID-19 period are no more relevant in the new world order, in today's new world order, and in the post-COVID-19 new world order. For that, you need us, people with new ideas, new paradigms, new way of thinking, new way of doing things, to come forward to make sure the policies that we come out for all Singaporeans benefit all Singaporeans. And this is so very important. And I'll tell you something, this is our policy proposals. Some of them I'll just cover very fast for you to understand what are we fighting for. And we target Singaporeans and helping Singaporeans at different stages of their lives to live a life of dignity, to enjoy personal prosperity. And most importantly, we design our policy matters with a staunch belief in mind that it is Singapore for all Singaporeans, not just the elite, because we are proud to say Singapore, my land. And you heard me say that many a times before. So quickly, what are we going to be fighting for? And this is important. Number one, we will address the burden of the high cost of living by reducing GST and cutting spending on extravagant public projects. Now, if you know, the goods and services GST tax presently stands at 7%. Now, the PAP-led government has seen it fit to increase GST, and it will keep doing that in the coming years unless you bring us in to hold them accountable. Now, such a move, I remind you, my dear friends, will devastate lower income and middle income Singaporeans, because they are already grappling with the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic. I'm talking about you and me. We already are facing so many problems, and if GST ever goes up again, or is maintained at 7%, it is going to be difficult. So what I'm going to say to you is that very different line of thought from every other political party that is contesting. And we are proposing that we reduce GST to just 3%. 3%, you heard me right. Reduce GST to 3% for basic items such as food, common household products, and other essential items. Yes, you heard me right. We also propose, the SDA proposes that there should be a progressive GST taxation system, going from maybe the lowest 3% that we are asking for, all the way up to even 15%, where basic goods are taxed the least, and luxury goods maybe a little bit more than the rest of them. Now, this is important because I'll tell you something, the impact of COVID-19, in fact, not just Singapore, but the entire world has been so bad, not only on the health, but also economic and social needs of people around the world. So I remind you, share this with everyone. 3% GST reduction for basic items like food, for common household products, and even other essential items is what SDA is fighting for. You have to get us there into Parliament this time, because no other party is going to talk about reduction of GST. Yes, there will be higher GST to balance it out. So we are not being an irresponsible party proposing without having done deep discussions on this. And the other thing, talking about cost of living, the PAP-led government, you know, has seen it fit to splash billions of dollars of taxpayers' money on extravagant public projects. Now, to name some of these projects, you know, the upcoming Founders Memorial. You heard of the Changi Jewel, I'm sure. And even the Ng Teng Fong General Hospital, my party members were telling me, are all examples of these lavish projects. Now, development of new infrastructure is important. SDA is not saying it is not important. Yes, the development of new infrastructure is important. Expenditure, but at the same time, must be exercised with prudence. Now, that is where you need an alternative voice like us to be in Parliament, to ask these hard questions before they spend more billions on these kind of infrastructure. That is it a prudent expenditure? Are you spending it? It is going to benefit most Singaporeans, or just some elite Singaporeans or some small groups? Especially, I'll tell you why. Having been in all business and great big 5-star luxury hotels and such, you can say businesses in my life, I'll tell you where the problem comes in, which most people overlook and oversee. And it is in the ongoing maintenance cost, not just the building cost of all these structures and all these infrastructures that we are putting together. So we want to talk about, especially when long-term maintenance cost is taken into account, we want to make sure that expenditure must be exercised with prudence. And that's why the SDA proposes you give us your vote so we can go into Parliament and have a more stringent set of checks prior to the approval of expenditure on you can say vanity-oriented, vain-glorious mega projects, because you're channeling the savings of Singaporeans, the hard work, the reserves that our pioneer Merdeka generations have put into our reserves, and you are taking that money away into all these high-end infrastructures. Maybe if we reduce the cost there, we could channel the savings into developing the most important resource the SDA has been always identifying in Singapore, and that is you and I, the people of Singapore. We are the only resource, and we believe money should be channeled into developing us, especially on the lower rungs, instead of being spent on extravagant projects. And that is the very important first point I want to bring up. Number two, tackling social inequality by giving the disadvantaged Singaporeans a shot at success. This is so important, and it's related to what I just said. When you get savings from all those extravagant projects, where can you channel it into our people? Because touch your heart and ask yourself, what else do we here in Singapore, a small country, have? It's only people, my dear friends, you and I, and we need to make sure that all rungs of our community rise in prosperity as Singapore rises in prosperity and becomes a first world country. And I want to say something. At present, you would know that a lot of Singaporean youths from the disadvantaged families, they struggle to even reach the starting line of a level playing field. The odds are still stacked against them, even though we are a first world country. This could be understood in third world or second world countries, but as a first world nation, to still have the odds stacked against fellow Singaporeans, and a vast majority of these fellow Singaporeans are trapped in a vicious cycle of poverty and struggle. We owe it to everyone to have a good level playing field. So what is SDA proposing? We are proposing an extra 1 to 5% of the government's annual net returns. 1% to 5% of the government's annual net returns on investment be channeled towards helping youth, young people from disadvantaged families. Now, to put things in broader perspective, the returns of the government's investments last year total about 17 billion, and we are projected to hit 18.6 billion this year. So asking for just 1% to 5% of this great billion-dollar net returns is not too much. We are very prudent in our calculations. We have think tanks who do all these calculations to make sure that this data is backed up by concrete evidence, and we know this can be done. But it will only be done if you vote us into Parliament. Otherwise, these are theories and these are papers and these are policy matters we will keep raising every now and then, but they will never get implemented in Parliament. Because I'll tell you something, even if a fraction of this goes to the over 100,000 disadvantaged Singaporean families, it will go a long way to helping these people. I'll tell you something. Just take a family of a size of maybe 3, 4 or 5 people. We are talking about 300,000 to 500,000 Singaporeans in these 100,000 disadvantaged families who will be helped to break free from this cycle of poverty. And the youth especially will have a chance at success, to achieve success when they are given the right tools and environment, the right modern technological equipment, the conducive aftercare in dedicated centers near their homes, and the caregiver tutors who will motivate them, who will coach them, who will believe in helping people succeed. And I'll end off this section with a very small point for you to think about as you go to bed today or as you do the rest of things during the day. Think about this. Did you know that in the various countries around the world, the national budget spending on education, health, and social protection is so much higher than what we spend in Singapore? I'll give you two examples nearby because I lived in Thailand for 3.5 years and I worked there. I understood some of their mechanisms too. They spend up to 50% of their national budget, and not only Thailand, even think of South Korea, because they are always using South Korea as an example of a country which held its election during COVID-19. I'll let you know, if you want to compare that, then also compare the fact that South Koreans also spend 50% of their national budget on education, health, and social protection. Now for Singapore, we are only at a very low 39%, not even 40% yet, so far from what other neighboring countries are spending. And it is time you brought us into Parliament so we can ask these questions and have a heart for the people to represent you, to bring Singapore to a new level, to the next level. The third point I share with you why and what are we fighting for is very important. We are fighting to fix the broken CPF retirement scheme. Now this phrase, you will hear a lot of elderly people saying it is better to die than to fall ill. You may have relatives who are elderly. You may have your parents who are growing older. You may have other uncles and aunties. And if you hear them say it is better to die than to fall ill, it will be a pain that will be in your heart for a long time. But many elderly Singaporeans are saying this, and it speaks of the multitudes for the plight of the aging Singaporeans. We are an aging generation. We are an aging country. We are an aging group of people. And I tell you something, not only must they toil into their twilight years, they fear being a financial burden to their children. So you young persons who are listening to me, maybe you are part of the sandwich generation. You and I have to make sure in our age, take care of elderly parents and also young children. And I hear this problem every day as we go knocking on the doors, every day as we meet residents on the road. And I want to say something, it should not come as a surprise then that the suicide rates among Singaporeans, elderly citizens especially, has leaped up even further, up and up. So what does the SDA propose? We propose a tweak of the CPF system so that senior citizens receive their CPF savings in full upon hitting the retirement age, which is currently at 62. Used to be 55, I know, and a lot of people are complaining about that too. We propose, of course, that a component be reserved for MediSave and MediShield Life so that the elderly will have the resources in reserve to fund emergencies that they may face or emergency health care cost. But the important thing is, we were given a promise, 55 you will get your CPF. Now it has gone up to 58, to 60, to 62. And if they're still not getting it in lump sum, then that is a very big problem that we need to raise and bring up in Parliament. In addition, don't forget that with the government serving as a custodian of the people by offering financial assistance to those elderly who fall between the cracks, this is going to be a point we're going to push for, because this is only right, seeing that the Singapore's wealth of a first world country, Singapore, was built on the collective contributions of each generation. So we cannot forget the pioneer and the Merdeka generations. It is only our duty, our moral responsibility, and our right to take care of every Singaporean. Because one day, let's not forget, my dear friend, you and I will also age. Do we want to have a compassionate community of people who take care of all of us? Because in this way, I will tell you something, our elderly Singaporeans will be able to retire with dignity, to have the benefit of social safety nets in place if needed. And before I move to the last point, which is number 4, about jobs, let me just end off with this. Every elderly needs about $1,379 a month if they are a single elderly household. If it's a couple, they need about $2,351 per month on a current, you can say the current cost of living in Singapore. And if it is a single person just a little below that age, 55 to 64, they still need $1,721 per month. Now this is what we need to help. We need to make sure every Singaporean is taken care even as we grow older into our twilight years. And the last point I want to cover, the fourth one, which is very crucial. We are pushing, SDA will push as a party that we have good jobs for Singaporeans. First, by curbing irresponsible immigration policies. Yes, you heard me right. Yes, you heard me right. Because touch your heart and ask yourself, aren't there a lot of Singaporeans? In fact, from the last figures I was told, more than 100,000 PMETs of our own nation are out of a job, and there are so many others who are coming in. Now, our own people could take up, because we are proud of our universities, we are proud of the education we give them. What, aren't we good enough to have jobs and we need to import so many others? Now, we are not totally against other people coming in. Of course, they are also here to find a better life for themselves. But what is SDA proposing is a stricter qualifying criteria, regulations in place for local firms that seek to hire foreign working professionals. This is so very important. If we want to have foreign working professional come in, then we want to have stricter qualifying criteria in place. We will press for tightened quotas on the number that a company can hire, and these foreign working professionals, they better come from a university that is accredited on a Singaporean accredited list. Now, this is very, very important after what I hear from a lot of residents on the road as we meet them every day in Pasir Ris, Punggol and everywhere else. And at the last point in the same topic, at the same time, the SDA proposes that we will demand tighter labor audits on companies to ensure that rogue companies do not get away with hiring phantom local staff to boost up their army of cheap foreign labor. So these are important points, and I can share once again, a victory for SDA will be a victory for you, for me, and all common Singaporeans. I repeat that. Give us your vote. Help us to get into Parliament, because a victory for the Singapore Democratic Alliance, a victory for SDA will be a victory for all common Singaporeans like you and me. Now, the only way, and I end off with this, as I thank you for joining us again, do click and look at all the other videos and all the other posts in our social media, Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere else. And if you have feedback, send us a WhatsApp straight away. Send us a message also, and we'll follow up, be your voice, not only in Parliament, but even before we get into Parliament and after we are in Parliament, and always be there to serve you. So I want to just end off with this. The only way to improve the plight of all Singaporeans is to have them vote in good leaders who understand and care for people. Vote in good leaders like us who are ready to serve you, who are ready to listen to you, who are ready to involve you, and who are ready, most importantly, to challenge the PAP-led government to correct the bad policies that result in the suffering for Singaporeans. The SDA leaders have had strong foundations, like I said, for the last 13 years in the Pasir Ris Punggol community, and that is why we chose to focus only in this constituency. We have been serving residents there for so many years, and as I mentioned previously, in the last 5 years alone, since the last general election, although we were not elected, we did not give up. Although we don't have funding from the government, we did not give up. Although we also personally don't have $1 million salaries, and we also are tight in our budgets, we still continued to give everyday lunches to residents there in 7 stations that we have set up. More than 3.5 million packets of lunches have gone out in the last 5 years without any funding coming from the government. Now that can be scaled up if we get elected, and we really need your support in every way. So when you elect us to Parliament, I like to remind you, we'll be better able to be the voice of you and your fellow citizens, to be the voice, to be able to voice the concerns. Can I use that word? Voice the concerns of the people in Parliament. Number 2, challenge the policies which will lead to a better life for all Singaporeans. Number 3, most important, those policies that have been leading to the greatest sufferings have to be removed, have to be replaced with better policies that will make your life and my life better, better and better. And last but not least, we will involve all of you in the policy making decisions solutions and champion policies that put us, the normal, common Singaporeans first, and not just a certain group of elite Singaporeans. We hope you will give SDA your support. Give us your vote. Vote for SDA and let us be your voice. Let us be the voice of many Singaporeans who are unable to voice out their daily anxieties, their problems, and their concerns. And I promise you, we will always be by your side, because the Singapore Democratic Alliance is always going to be here for you. So in today's session, I've shared with you especially why we feel that no, we are going to be the full MPs and not NCMPs. And if you just joined us in the middle or towards the end, please listen to the whole starting of today's sharing, because it is a very important point. Media and everyone else is talking about the fact that we could be NCMPs if we get the highest number of losing votes. But no, we want to be the full MPs to serve you. We want to be there, the voice for you. The other thing I also spoke about was a three-cornered fight, and how we tried even until the last minute. And I was there personally when I heard Mr. Desmond Lim giving a call to the third alternative party, which is coming in, because we really wanted to have a united opposition front and also a one-to-one chance with the PAP, because 13 years we have been serving you. We thought that was our moral responsibility to come back. And as I conclude, I want to end off with one last point, and that is the redrawing of the boundaries that always has been happening and happened even this time. My party leader, Mr. Desmond Lim, made it very clear in the earlier interview that we are still confident that the redrawing of these boundaries won't affect him, because we were asked this question time and again, and even today we had so many of you asking us many questions. I thank you for all your feedback, your questions, your ideas, and this question came up, and I also checked with Mr. Desmond Lim. He makes it clear that we are still going to be confident. Never mind the redrawing of boundaries, they won't affect us, because we have actually walked a bigger area. Now they have shrunk the GRC from a 6-man to a 5-man. So we are still quite confident. And the other reason is because this is the third time we are contesting in Pasir Ris Punggol. We were there in 2011, we were there in 2015, and this is the third time. And today, I'll tell you something, it feels very good. Every time we meet residents on the ground, it feels very good that they still recognize us, as I shared earlier, even with the masks on. And some people say, of course, your turban is, is so recognizable, so no wonder they can recognize you. But it's not just me. Even Mr. Abu was sharing with us in our meeting earlier, and Mr. Desmond also shared that with the masks on, even the residents are recognizing them from far and giving us a good wave, giving us that good support, and we feel good because we know that we have been serving you for the last 13 years. So we are very happy that you recognize us and hope that you will give us your vote this time. In fact, Desmond says, I'm a familiar face, and I quote him. He says, I'm a familiar face in Pasir Ris Punggol. Even half-masked people sometimes recognize me, which is very true. And I'll tell you something. He has said that this may be his last general election as the party chairman, and he will hand over to the younger leaders after the election. He's not going to stop being the member of parliament. Let me make it very clear. But he wants to have a rejuvenation, and he wants to make sure that there are new people to take over. And Desmond said this very important. I remember, and I like these words he said. He said, I'm not here, we don't fly by night, and we don't take our voters for granted. And assuming that just because, people just come in for the last few months and the third party comes in and then wants to be the third party, it is a little bit late for them to come into the Pasir Ris Punggol. We have been here for 5 years in the last general election till now, and 13 years overall. And just to remind you, we had over 27.11% in the last general election and 37.6% in GE11 if I'm not wrong. And in the last election, we were the third best percentage votes in the whole national after PAP and the Workers' Party. The SDA had the third highest number of percentage votes. So I thank you, my friends in Pasir Ris Punggol, residents of Pasir Ris Punggol, and we look forward to your continued support for this election and many years to come. And I'll tell you something. This year, the important thing is the redrawing of the boundaries will not affect our chances, as we have been in this area since the year 2006. And no matter how they cut the area out, most of the area is in the middle, and we have been greeted by residents and they recognize us time and again. And I like to end off with very important things today, that there are also other opposition parties, of course, who are coming from one constituency to another, and they speak about opposition unity, says Mr. Desmond Lim. But he said, and he continues, we won't run here and there. These are the words of my leader, Desmond Lim, saying we won't run here and there. You think there's a chance there, you go there, and then you think there's a chance here, you come back here. Mr. Lim and the rest of our candidates and the party, the alliance believes that that is not a statesman thing to do. But as I quote Mr. Lim, that is something that they are trying to do in or playing in politics. This was said in Mandarin, so the translation may be a little bit off. But I just want to say something. I like the words, and this is important, because every part of the opposition parties are saying, and many parties like to shout about unity, unity, but we don't actually shout about it. We just quietly try and work with everyone, because after all, we are the only alliance, the Singapore Democratic Alliance, the one and only alliance in Singapore. And I hope even after this general election, more and more of the opposition parties, more of the alternative voices, even if you're not in any opposition party, give us your contact, call us, give us a call on WhatsApp, or just message us in the messenger box, or even on WhatsApp, or contact us in every way. We want your talents, we want your ideas, we want, of course, your energy and effort. We need your time and not just your money. And I remember, as we were trying to boost the post to make sure more people get our videos, Facebook gave us a required budget of US 50,000 to reach 1.3 million to 3.2 million Singaporeans. We are a small party. We don't have that kind of $1 million salaries to fund it. And even if we try to reach Pasir Ris, Punggol and the residents in that area, just to boost one post was about 8,000 US dollars. Now, of course, money is important, but beyond money, if you can also support us, give us your ideas. Tell us what are you talented in. Tell us how much time, effort, energy you can put in. Be with us. And not only during this election campaigning period, but I hope in the next 5 years, we can build up the alliance so we can go into greater heights to be a real strong alliance for you. And I just want to end off today's presentation with one small thing. Asked about the views on COVID-19. It is of no help to speak more on this topic, said Mr. Desmond Lim too. Because a lot of people are asking us about COVID-19 situation and all that. Because we don't really have the control. PAP wasn't done resolving it. The COVID-19 was not fully resolved, and they have called for an election. In fact, 9 months, as I shared in one of past videos, 9 months before it is actually due. And I can say this, we already said many times the SDA stand was say no to elections. We did not want to hold the election during a COVID-19 period, and we spoke until our mouths were dry. But since they want to hold the election, let's let them hold it. No need to say any more things about the COVID-19 situation, except that every one of us must take care, must take personal responsibility, must remain safe. And we all know in our hearts, deep in our hearts, that if they want to hold on to the power and unilaterally make these kind of decisions, then it is even more important that we, the alternative voices, we SDA get voted in. So in the future, they don't make decisions unilaterally that may affect the lives of all Singaporeans. So touch your heart. Ask yourself, why risk the lives of so many Singaporeans when they could have had 9 more months to stabilize the position and then come together to ask for an election? So I just want to say on that part, we could have also stayed at home and not risked our lives, but we chose to come out and we chose to fight this election because enough is enough. And I've said this many a times before, even GE 2015, I remember, enough is enough. is what we were always saying, because we are fed up, and not just we, but every Singaporean we meet is fed up. But we need your help, my dear friends. We can voice these every time the elections come up. I said same great things during 2011 GE when I first fought for elections. I said the same things in GE 2015. I raised the same main issues, and today in GE 2020 I'm here still every day having these kind of online rallies after we spend hours on the ground, and after my supporters are tired, after all our candidates are also super tired. We still want to work into the late hours of the night to do this, because we are serious about being there for you. We could have also stayed at home. We could have also not risked it during this COVID-19, because a lot of people are asking, why risk your lives too? Never mind, let them just carry on. But I'll tell you something, enough is enough, and you know that, because we feel the pain of the bad policies that we see in every resident that we are meeting. And to us, I'll tell you something, people also have had enough. And this time, there's lots of high stress, lots of high pains, and lots of high, you can say, difficult moments that everyone is going through. So today, I want to say something. I may have been one of them who are aligned towards taking over from Mr. Desmond Lim, but besides me, there are also few others, and we, the younger people, will always be there to serve you. And Mr. Lim, Mr. Abu himself, our senior members of the SDA, will always be there to support us and guide us even into the years to come, because we are not going to go away. And definitely every organization should have a plan in place and not wait, until it's too late to hand over. So I am very helpful, I'm very thankful, and I'm very humbled by the opportunity to be one of the many people who Mr. Desmond Lim, Mr. Abu, and all other senior leaders in this organization feel may be able to carry the SDA forward together with all the other young leaders in the Singapore Democratic Alliance. But we ask not only the current batch of leaders, but we ask all of you out there, Singaporeans who have a passion to serve, who want to be the voice of the people, who think who can contribute your talents, your ideas, even your effort, your energy, your time, your money, or anything else. Please come forward, not only in this campaigning period, but for many more months and years and weeks and years ahead, to help us to build the Singapore Democratic Alliance. And on that same note, to all the leaders of all the other opposition parties, the candidates and the supporters, we also wish you well. But after the elections, we look forward to working closely with you, and maybe, hopefully, as an alliance, come together, be the team, because together everyone achieves more. So let us be part of the team. Make Singapore better. I thank you once again for watching. I thank you once again for sharing these videos with everyone. I thank you once again for clicking on the like, the love, and also lately I've been seeing a lot of you clicking on the care button. Thank you so much for that. Please forward this to all your friends. Please copy the link and share it on all your WhatsApp, on all your social media, because honestly, we do not have the $8,000 budget to boost one post to reach just the Pasir Ris Punggol residents. Forget about the 50,000 to boost the post to reach all of Singapore's voters. Now that's a lot of money, but that's the business model of Facebook. We are at least appreciative that we are doing these Facebook online rallies every day to reach you. We will continue to do this. We will always be there for you. And tomorrow and every other day, we will reach you. But also reply, comment below, send us a WhatsApp message, send us a messenger message, or reach us in any way. And I just want to thank those people. Some of my candidates said they shook hands and they left a little ang pao to say this is for you to also use it during these campaigns. We thank you for all your contributions. No contribution is too small. And I end off with this. If you are able to afford it, and if you can sponsor these videos, we are more than happy to put your name or your organization's name as a sponsor in support of SDA. But on the other hand, if you want to remain anonymous and you want to be totally not known, but you want to fund these campaigns and forward these videos, we respect your privacy and we will not put your name, nor anyone will know who is funding, who is supporting, who is boosting these posts. And the last message, on the cooling off day and on the day of elections, we, the candidates and also part of the organization SDA, cannot share any more posts on the internet, but you can. So my dear fellow Singaporeans, if you're listening to this any day, just remember, forward it today, forward it and share it with everyone now. But especially on cooling day, especially towards the election day, we are not allowed to do it as candidates. We are not allowed to do it as being part of the party and alliance, but you can feel free, and we have checked this with the elections department. You, as a common voter, a Singaporean, can surely forward and share all these posts, all these videos, and we need your help. We thank you once again, humbly. I love the time you spend with me. I love the time. I hope I am being beneficial to you, understanding better the stand of the Singapore Democratic Alliance and the policy matters. So please comment, please write to us, please WhatsApp us, and be happy to know that we will always be there with you. Thank you once again for listening. Thank you for joining in, and have a good time ahead. Thank you.